Beer is one of those things that every country has. Across Asia, we drink it during birthdays, with street food, and also karaoke. But have you ever stopped to wonder what their logos actually mean? Well, I did. So I looked into some of Asia's most iconic beer brands, and the more I realized, their logos were quietly telling a story. From mythology to colonial history to how the country sees itself. So let's travel across Asia and see how history and culture shape some of the most iconic beer brands in the world. And where better to start than Thailand? So let's start with Chang. At first glance, most people just see the elephants. But almost every part of this logo was built around Thai identity. When Chang launched in 1995, it was introduced with the specific intention of creating a beer brewed for Thais in Thai culture. And it became one of the first Thai beer brands to use the Thai alphabet directly on its label. That detail alone says a lot about what the brand was going for. The two white elephants at the center are the obvious starting points. In Thailand, white elephants were historically considered sacred, associated with royalty, prosperity, and Thai kings, earning the country its old nickname, the Land of the White Elephant. And according to the brand, the two elephants facing each other symbolize harmony, friendship, and stable relationships. And that feeling carries through the whole design. The typography is soft and flowing, and the brand describes it as having understated strength. In the center sits the golden fountain rising from a red brick well, symbolizing prosperity and abundance. And surrounding everything are the puttan flower motifs, a pattern commonly used in Thai decorative art and architecture. And what ties all of it together is a philosophy called Lamiyat. Lamiyat is the belief that traditions inspire flavor that is balanced and in harmony. That perfection lies within the details, and a distinctly Thai perspective is what makes the difference. And honestly, you can see all that here in the logo. Every elephant, every flower, and every curve quietly expressing the same idea. Their tagline, "The Taste of Thai Perfection," says everything about where Chang's strength has always come from. Not chasing global trends, but leaning fully into being Thai. Chang only tells one side of Thailand's story. While Chang feels grounded and built for everyday life, Singha tells something else completely. Founded in 1933, Singha was Thailand's first brewery, created by Pria Birombakdi, Thailand's first master brewer. And from the very beginning, it carried itself differently from Chang. The logo alone tells you that. At the center is the Singha, a golden mythical lion-like creature that comes directly from Thai literature and mythology. It's believed to be the king of the Himapan forest, a mythical forest woven throughout Buddhist and Hindu cosmology. This explains why the logo feels less like a beer brand and more like a royal emblem. The Singha represents power, courage, and protection. Right above the logo is the Garuda, one of Thailand's most important national symbols, directly associated with the monarchy. It was granted to Boon Rod Brewery by King Rama VIII in 1939 as a symbol of royal approval. So the small symbol at the top of the bottle is essentially a royal seal of approval, one the Birombakdi family has carried with pride ever since, placing it on everything from their office buildings to every Singha product. And that's really what Singha has always been. Where Chang leans into Thai culture and everyday life, Singha leans into heritage, mythology, and prestige. Two Thai brands, two completely different versions of what Thailand represents. Unlike Thailand, the Philippines spent 300 years under Spanish colonial rule. You can still see traces of that everywhere, from religion to food, and yes, even beer. San Miguel was originally established under the name La Fábrica de Cerveza de San Miguel in Manila, while the Philippines was still under Spanish rule. Its founder, Don Enrique Maria Barreto de Icaza, secured a royal grant from the Spanish crown to establish the first brewery in the Philippines, and the first in all of Southeast Asia. The brewery took its name from the San Miguel district of Manila where it was built, and it also just happened to open on September 29, 1890, the feast day of Saint Michael the Archangel, which is a very fitting coincidence. And the Spanish influence doesn't stop at the name. The San Miguel Escudo, the seal used across all San Miguel beer products, traces its roots to the coat of arms bestowed on Manila in May 1596 by King Philip II. Yes, the same Philip II that the Philippines was named after. The royal decree was very specific. The top half of the shield would bear a golden castle on a red field, while the lower half would show a silver half-lion, half-dolphin called the Leo Delfin. The castle and lion were traditional devices from the kingdoms of Castile and Leon, symbols of Spanish royal crown since 1230. So the logo on every bottle traces directly back to a Spanish royal decree. Because what started as a product of Spanish colonial power slowly became something Filipinos made entirely their own. The logo has gone through at least 5 different distinct faces since 1890, and each version became cleaner and more contemporary, while the original symbolism remained. And as San Miguel themselves put it, the centuries-old symbol reimagined today continues to call to mind the company's commitment to helping build the Filipino nation. If you're Filipino, you've probably seen this bottle in fiestas or when you're just walking around the street. The typography on the label also echoes that history. The lettering used on the San Miguel Pale Pilsen bottle is styled after black letter or Gothic script used in Spanish royal documents and decrees during the colonial era. So as you see, it's centuries of Philippine history quietly evolving in a bottle. Compared to the Philippines, Japan is telling a different story. In the mid-1800s, the country was forced to open its borders to Western trade after Commodore Matthew Perry arrived with American warships in 1853. That moment eventually led to the Meiji Restoration, a period where Japan rapidly modernized and transformed itself into an industrial global power. And honestly, Sapporo feels like the perfect reflection of that era. Founded in 1876, Sapporo became the first beer brewed by Japanese people in Japan. The key figure behind it was Seibei Nakagawa, the first Japanese man to learn German brewing, whose dedicated efforts alongside his compatriots established the Kaitakushi Beer Brewery in Sapporo. So from the very beginning, Sapporo represented Japan learning from the West while entirely building something on its own. And you can actually see that reflected in their logo. At the center of Sapporo's branding is the 5-pointed star known as Polaris, the North Star. The symbol was inspired by the pioneers of Hokkaido, Japan's modern frontier during the period of expansion and modernization. Historically, Polaris was used by travelers and explorers for navigation because it always remained fixed in the sky. Think about where Japan was at that moment. A country that has been isolated for over 200 years, suddenly forced to navigate an entirely new world order. Polaris, a North Star that stays fixed while everything around it shifts, feels like exactly the kind of symbol a nation in that position would reach for. That red star has remained central in Sapporo's identity ever since. In 2002, Sapporo released the gold version of the star to launch Sapporo Premium Beer as an overseas exclusive brand. While red carried the raw pioneering spirit of Hokkaido, gold signaled something more refined and premium for international markets. So unlike Thailand's mythology or San Miguel's colonial crest, Sapporo's logo feels more forward-looking. It doesn't represent where Japan came from. It represents where Japan is determined to go. So after Sapporo's industrial identity, we go to Kirin, where we are connecting more with Japan's mythology. Originally founded as a Japan brewery company in 1885, Kirin launched its flagship beer in 1888, named after the mythical Chinese creature known as the Kirin, a creature with a dragon head and deer body, sometimes surrounded by holy flames. In Japanese mythology, the Kirin is considered one of the most sacred and revered creatures in East Asia. And unlike dragons in Western mythology that are often destructive or dangerous, the Kirin represents peace, prosperity, purity, and good fortune. Visually, that logo really leans into that mythology, drawn with intricate details that feel more traditional and artistic than your typical beer label. That same spirit carries into how Kirin approach brewing itself. Their philosophy is called reverence for life. They believe that all life is interconnected and that brewing should be approached with humility. Now let's go to the second part of their name. Ichiban translates to number one or first in Japanese, and while most brewers use wort from multiple filtrations, Kirin Ichiban is the only mass-market beer brewed exclusively from the first press. So Ichiban doesn't just mean number one as marketing. It refers to the first and purest press of the beer itself. The packaging reflects this with the golden droplets symbolizing that first drop philosophy. And together, Sapporo and Kirin reveals two sides of the same Japan. One brand built on pioneering progress and modernization, while the other in mythology and reverence for tradition. After Japan, China feels more like a natural stop. And Tsingtao's story might be the most layered out of everything we've covered today, because it passed through 3 different powers before becoming what it is today. The brewery started in 1903 in Tsingtao, a coastal city under German control at the time. Originally called the German Brewery, it was founded by German and British settlers. Then World War I happened, Japan seized Tsingtao in 1914 and took over the brewery. Then after World War II, control returned to China and the country embraced communism. The brewery became a state-owned business under the People's Republic of China. And when you know that history, the logo feels like a summary of it all. At the center is the image of the Jiangqiao Pier, one of Qingdao's most iconic landmarks. The pier was originally built in 1891 as a military wharf during the Qing dynasty. After German occupied Qingdao, they expanded and reinforced it. The octagonal Whelan pavilion at the tip was added in 1930, and it became the symbol of Qingdao's unique blend of Chinese tradition and European influence. It's now the centerpiece of Tsingtao's label worldwide. So the image in the bottle is a structure that started Chinese, was shaped by German hands, and eventually became the symbol of Chinese identity, which is a perfect metaphor for the brand itself. But there's more going around the pavilion. The logo features a rose red circle with golden wheat ears representing the brand's quality ingredients and commitment to craft. Surrounding everything are water waves, and at the center is a blue sphere representing the Earth. A nod to the brand's global ambitions. And that global ambition has a more recent chapter worth mentioning. For Tsingtao's 120th anniversary, branding agency Lander Hong Kong developed a campaign called How Tsingtao. It celebrated the brand's identity as a meeting point between East and West. The concept leaned into what makes Tsingtao genuinely unique: bold Chinese craftsmanship fused with refined German brewing tradition. They used a golden line that ran through the campaign visuals, symbolizing a bridge between the two worlds the brand has always been associated with. So the logo is doing two things at once. The pavilion grounds it in local Chinese history and identity, while the globe, wheat, and waves pushes outwards towards the world. That ambition shows. Tsingtao is now China's most internationally recognized beer, available in over 70 countries. So we started with a simple question. What do these beer logos actually mean? We walk past them every day without really seeing them. They're just beer bottles at a party, a restaurant menu, or in the back of the fridge somewhere. But once you start looking closer, you can't really unsee it. These brands weren't just selling beer, they were showing a version of their country. And I feel like that's something worth carrying with you the next time you crack one open. If you enjoy this kind of deep dives into design and culture, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video.